Hi, I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you need to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. If you've been looking at our website, starborninstitute.org, you would already know that the title sounds a little bit strange for tonight's show, and the title is A Redo. And the reason why there can be something that needs to be redone in all of our lives is because there can be hidden challenges, or there can be things underneath the surface that can be very alarming or even threatening to something that looks like a sure thing. The reason why something can look like a real sure thing right now is because there are 5 planets in the dynamic, action-oriented fire signs, and they are all trining each other. I mean, you couldn't lose, right? But some people can lose right now, and that is because the 5 planets that are in the fire signs individually are being challenged by other planets. And that is why something that looks like a sure thing right now is being seriously questioned or is in doubt. And with the Sun and Mercury in Sagittarius closely conjuncting each other, there can be a lot of good planning going on, and there can be approval at a high level, and there can be people even in foreign countries that can be rising to their highest good right now, because Sagittarius also rules religion and philosophy as well. And they can have very good intentions. Those 2 planets are beautifully trining 2 other planets right now, the Moon and Jupiter in Leo. Leo is the sign of good luck and gambling, and Jupiter is there, so Leos can feel rather lucky for a whole year while Jupiter is in their sun sign. But the Moon is also there right now, and so the Moon and Jupiter are trining the Sun and Mercury, which is wonderful. And because that passive Moon is in Leo as well, it is an indication that there can be some very sympathetic support right now for somebody who wants to sort of be on the world stage, or wants to be a leader, or certainly wants to have everything go their way. So that's fine with those 4 planets trining each other. And then together those 4 planets are trining a 5th planet in a fire sign, Uranus, which is in Aries, the sign of new beginnings. And Uranus is the planet of sudden change. So what could go wrong? Well, a lot, actually. It isn't that the strength of the fire signs is not very, very good. It is. And it can give people a lot of energy right now. But actually, remember I said that every planet in that grand trine in fire signs is being sorely challenged. And so that's why beneath the surface, we are going to have to redo something that represents a sure thing or some sort of new start. In fact, some people can be resigned now to having to start over or give up or try something in a completely different way. So revisions will be inevitable right now. And the reason why is that these planets in the fire signs are being so sorely challenged individually. So the Sun and Mercury in Sagittarius, remember, that can indicate people who are communicating and thinking well on a high plane. Those 2 planets are actually being squared by Neptune in Pisces, and Neptune is the ruler of the sign. It's very strong there, and so it can indicate that behind the scenes, since Pisces does rule hidden enemies and things behind the scenes and areas of confinement or deception, since that planet is squaring the 2 planets in Sagittarius, it means that there are plans around something that does look like a sure thing that can be subject to confusion, or people may have made some sort of deceptive commentary, and that could lead to indecision, or it could simply mean that this is a time when people are going to have to go through and sort of sort through all the misleading facts and see what the truth really is. And until they do that, there's not going to be any ability to go forward and really move in on a plan. And that's why I think there's going to have to be something redone when we do find out what the real truth is. And then that wonderful Moon and Jupiter in Leo are being sorely challenged because Leo is a fixed sign. And so Mars, which is in Aquarius now, is opposing the moon and Jupiter. Aquarius does rule the future. Mars is a planet of greed or jealousy or envy, certainly of a lot of energy, and it also rules war and destruction. So it's coming up against some very good planets, but it isn't doing it in a very nice way. And that means that people's future can be subject to change due to some person's plans that may be rather malevolent or dangerous, actually. And then the moon and Jupiter are also being squared by Saturn in Scorpio, which is a fixed financial sign, and Saturn is now at the 29th degree of fate. It doesn't have any more room to move in the sign. And because of that, it simply means there isn't enough money around to fund something that looks like a sure thing. And so, they're short on the money, or it's not going to happen because it isn't in anybody's budget, and it isn't going to be because the money's just not there. So that can be a threat. And then finally, Uranus in Aries is being squared by Venus and Pluto in Capricorn. Pluto is at the 13th degree of Capricorn, and Uranus is at the 13th degree of Aries. And for that reason, both of these planets are really coming head on in a harsh square, and because Pluto represents authority figures in management in large corporations or government agencies, or it represents people who make policy, and because Venus is there as well, it simply indicates that someone in authority is really going to question something that looks like a sure thing. And they're going to require that all the rules and regulations be followed, or that something adheres very, very closely to traditional values or established law. Remember, Venus rules the law because it rules Libra. And now the two planets, Venus and Uranus, which are the love planets, are squaring each other. And that isn't too good for anybody, because that simply means there's not a lot of harmony around anymore at all. So a sure thing is not going to go through the way everyone thinks it's going to. It certainly is going to be open to question. And I think the reason why it will have to have revisions, or someone will have to start over, is because they may have wanted something very badly, and they may have even used deception in order to get it. But when we sort everything out, and we really look at whether it meets a certain high criteria for success, I think that instead what this indicates is that someone does not measure up, that they don't make the grade, or their idea doesn't pass muster because it really isn't founded on high principles or a proven work performance in one way or another. Or it can simply be, once again, that because of lack of funding, something will have to be redone. Okay, what does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Well, Aries, I think that you can be involved in something that needs to be redone. And the reason why is that Pluto in Capricorn, which represents people in government agencies or large corporations, is exactly squaring Uranus in your sign, and both planets are at the 13th degree, which is a number that reduces to 4. It's called a Saturn number. So someone is insisting on doing everything exactly right. Well, Aries, you succeed by doing things your way. You have a pioneering spirit, but that isn't going over right now. And so, you are going to have to live up to somebody else's standards, and if you don't like that, you may have to start over some other place or in some other way, or you may have to simply redo something that you've been going along and doing just the way you want it, because that isn't going to sell anymore. So I do think that there will be a change now for you, Aries, and that it will be predicated on some authority figure. And for that reason, I don't think you are going to be able to question their judgment at all. You are just going to have a choice, either go or stay. But that's about the only choice you're going to have. You will have tremendous moral support, because remember, the planets in the Grand Trine and Fire sign do indicate that there can be a lot of dynamic planning going on, or a lot of support, particularly with the Moon and Jupiter in Leo. But that isn't what's on the table. What's on the table is the difference between having a great idea and getting it funded and seeing it go forward according to established rules and regulations. Now that is a lot harder. And that is why I think you're going to have to start over somewhere, Aries. Good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Well, Taurus, this is simply a time when you can be running up against some other stubborn people. Now, your sign can be a little bit stubborn at times too, Taurus, because after all, one of the hallmarks of your success is that you feel that you're very durable and that you can go ahead, and if you persist at something, you will succeed at it. And so you really are not a person who likes to give up on anything. And if something requires hard work, you do get in. You roll up your sleeves and really get going on that. But now you can be meeting some severe challenges, Taurus. And the reason why is that I mentioned there are 4 planets in the fixed signs, and all 4 of them square your sun sign. So the moon and Jupiter in Leo are squaring your sun sign, and they are under duress because Saturn in Scorpio, which is opposing your sun sign, is squaring them as well. And then Mars in Aquarius is also squaring your sun sign. So you have some people that are a little bit angry about and have ideas about their future that do not coincide with you at all, or that you don't agree with. So that can be a little bit iffy. And then there are others that are so sympathetic and deserving that you could have been a little over generous, and you may have overspent lately, so you could have budget problems. And then that Saturn, which is at 29 degrees, exactly opposite the 29th degree of Taurus in your sign, which is where a blind star is, indicates that you may have been a little bit blind to some financial debt or a tax issue that is certainly on the horizon and must be handled now. So I think you've got a lot on your plate right now, Taurus, and something's going to have to get redone in your life, but you are meeting stiff resistance at the same time. So I hope you turn on the charm. And remember that Venus, your own ruler, along with Pluto, are both in Capricorn trining your sun. And that simply means that, you know, if you took the long view, or you could get your hands on some retirement money, or you could just retire, that would be the easiest way for you to handle your problems right now. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini, this is simply a time when I think that you may not know which way to turn at all, and yet you can be very popular. People can be asking you to help them with their plans. I would hesitate if I were you, Gemini. Mars in Aquarius is trining your sun sign, but Mars is a very dynamic planet, and it's not happy in Aquarius. It is part of opposition and squares, which are in fixed signs, meaning that Mars in Aquarius is running into trouble right now, and somebody may enlist your help in getting out of a tight spot. Well, ask yourself what's in it for you, Gemini, because other than working very hard for somebody else for their success, I don't think there is anything in it for you. And so if I were you, I'd slow down a little bit right now, Gemini, because something that looks like a sure thing is going to have to be redone. You may actually benefit from that once it is determined that it has to be redone. And so, you know, if you sort of sat around and did nothing right now and waited for some sort of decision or some authority to come down and really decide what path we're going to be going on or how something can be redone, and then offer your assistance, that would probably be a better idea. In other words, be part of the solution, not part of the problem, Gemini. So for right now, I'd stand back if I were you. Even though somebody can be pressing your buttons and wanting you to work extra hard, you'd better ask what's in it for you, because as far as I can tell, there isn't anything in it for you, except that you would be doing someone else's work for them. And so think about it a little bit before you jump in at the deep end of the pool. You don't want to drown. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Well, Cancer, this is a time when I think you really will be affected by the decision that an authority figure makes. In other words, they are going to say, look, this is the way something has to be done, and something that looks like a sure thing does not measure up. or someone else's plans in order to get ahead right now are really going to be subject to change. And if their plans change, yours might also, Cancer. And the reason why is that Venus and Pluto are both in Capricorn, and they are opposing your sun sign, and Pluto is at the 13th degree. Now, Cancer is the sun sign of the United States and of Canada, but in particular, the sun sign of America is 13 degrees of Cancer. And so Pluto is exactly opposing that position in your sign, Cancer, right now. So the country itself could be threatened by something that has to be redone. And on top of that, Uranus in Aries is squaring your sun sign. It's being squared harshly by that Pluto, and Uranus is at 13 degrees as well. So there is going to be something that has to be redone. It probably will affect all of us, could be a pretty big deal, and it could affect you as well. It could affect your career. It would not affect you financially. And the reason why is that Saturn in Scorpio is trining your sun, and so is Neptune in Pisces. And I think you do have the means to make a dream come true, no matter what decision is made soon. But still, I think you will be affected by something that has to be redone that seemed like it was a sure thing. Just remember, it's the way it goes. We don't all live in a world by ourselves. We are affected by what others do, and I think you will be, Cancer. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, this is a time when you can certainly be very sympathetic toward other people because both the moon and Jupiter are in your sun sign, and they're being beautifully trined by planets in the other fire signs. The sun and Mercury are trining your sun, and Uranus in Aries is also trining your sun. So if there weren't any other planets up there, and it were just these 5 planets in fire signs that were ruling the world, you'd be sitting on top of the world right now, Leo. However, you can be running into stiff resistance, and your plans, which have really good intentions behind them, can be subject to change because Mars in Aquarius is opposing your sun sign, and Saturn, which is at the 29th degree of Scorpio, is squaring your sun sign. So Saturn is squaring the moon and Jupiter. When Saturn and the moon square each other, it means parents are not getting along. And it can mean that costs are too high and that the budget just isn't stretching, particularly for matters that concern children. So that can be a problem. And also with Mars opposing your sun sign, all the good luck in the world and all the charm that you have, Leo, isn't going to do you much good if someone is in a vindictive or jealous mood and wanting to be destructive, which they could be since that Mars is opposing your sun. So you need to lay low, Leo, and you really do need to pay attention to financial matters, and that can be upcoming tax matters or any kind of credit or debt issues, because they are really not going to go away. And so this is a time to face them if you can. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Well, Virgo, this is a time when I think that you will be in line for advancement, and that advancement will come from an authority figure. In other words, it may not be your boss that's got their mind on your better interests, but it can be their boss that has their mind on your better interests. So you have made a good impression on people, and you have done it just by being yourself, Virgo. In other words, very reliable, very steady, very punctual, and very hardworking. And so maybe you've been minding your own business, but your business is work, and so you would have been focusing on that. And someone in an authority, as an authority figure, has certainly noticed that, since both Pluto and now Venus are in Capricorn trining your sun. So there is going to be a favorable decision made about your career efforts, and that should result in some sort of promotion or certainly some long-term gain for you, which is good. And that is what you should stay focused on, Virgo. In other words, mind your own business right now, because the Sun and Mercury are squaring your sun, and Neptune in Pisces is opposing your sun. So there is deception around. I don't think you're going to know who to believe. And since you're a person that likes to deal in facts, stick to the facts and try not to talk to too many people who may be full of gossip or innuendo innuendo, and all of that has to be sorted through before people really are going to realize what the facts are. So there is a sort of a waiting time right now before something gets redone. But I think it's going to shock a lot of people that something that looked like a sure thing, it's not going to go through the way it is now. It will have to be revised. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Well, Libra, this is a time when I think that you too, just like Cancer, are going to feel the effect of something having to be redone, particularly since it looked like a sure thing. And the reason why I think you'll feel that is because there is pressure and tension among the cardinal signs. And that's because Venus, your ruler, Libra, and Pluto in Capricorn are squaring your sun sign. And that simply means that you might have to really jump through hoops right now and do something exactly according to the book, and you'll have to do it on somebody else's schedule. They'll be very nice about it, but also very strict and insistent that you perform right now. And so you'll have to do that, Libra. It's just the way things are right now. And Uranus in Aries is opposing your sun sign, but it is being very harshly squared by Pluto and Venus in Capricorn as well. So I don't think everyone's love life is working out too well right now because, you know, there's all kinds of things to consider. And we are on the verge of being a little bit surprised by the idea that something is going to have to be redone when actually we were counting on it just going through the way it is. And that won't occur. And so, and it could be because of lack of funding. So I think you have to be prepared, maybe with a plan B, to absorb a little bit of shock right now, Libra. Mars in Aquarius is trining your sun. You can find somebody else to help you out of some sort of scrape right now, and they'll have a lot of energy. They can help you out. So, you know, you'll just have to make some sort of adjustment right now, Libra. It may not be a real big adjustment, and you really will have to do something somebody else's way, and there's no way of getting out of that either. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Well, Scorpio, Saturn is at the 29th degree in your sign, and that's it. There's no more room for that planet to move. And that simply means that this is a time of summation for you, Scorpio, and the summation is about money. It's about your financial position and what you want to do in your future, or whether you can afford to make a dream come true or not. Since Neptune is trining your sun, you can afford that, Scorpio, which is wonderful. But I'd keep real quiet about your plans if I were you, because Mars in Aquarius is squaring Saturn in your own sign, which means someone else can be very malevolent or destructive about future plans. So don't let anybody know what yours are, Scorpio. You don't want them threatened. And also the moon and Jupiter in Leo are squaring Saturn as well, and that means that you just can't spend money on everybody that you would like to spend money on right now. You have to save it for that dream, Scorpio, which you can afford to do now. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarian? Well, Sagittarius, this is a time when you can be racked with confusion. You could have been given some misleading information because Neptune in Pisces is squaring your sun where you have the sun and Mercury. So yes, in one respect, you've got a lot of moral support. You can be very proud of your loved ones. You can want to zoom ahead on things with the very highest intentions. But I think that there's some information that doesn't quite add up, Sagittarius. Either it's information you've given people or they have given you, and you need to sort that out. Also, there, with Saturn right behind your sun sign, there can be pressing debts or credit or tax problems that are creeping up on you, Sagittarius, and you'll have to address those as well. So this is a time when you should have a plan B and prepare for some sort of change, because whatever you've been counting on isn't going to turn out quite the way you think. It's going to have to be revised. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn, this is simply a time when you can certainly feel as if you've got the right ideas about things, and with Venus in your sign, you can say something in a very charming but firm way, and you would expect everyone to agree, but I don't think they're going to. In fact, I think there's going to be a little fallout in a friendship or a love affair, and that is because Venus in your sign is being squared by Uranus in Aries, and those are the two love planets, so they're not getting along very well. And Pluto in your sign is also squaring Uranus exactly. So you are right about something, Capricorn. That's true. And you can say something in a nice way, but not everyone is going to buy into it right now. And so I would say that if you don't need to stress your point right now, I would not do it, because there are enough harsh aspects among the planets right now that people's feelings can get very hurt, and there could be some abrupt and surprising reaction right now since Uranus is squaring your sun sign. So I would say that if you can wait on something or not stress your point quite so much right now, Capricorn, that would be a good idea. Try to get through the holidays in a happy frame of mind if you can. And then save whatever you have to say for after the first of the year. Believe me, it will keep. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius, I think that you are feeling very, very pressured in one way or another because Mars is in your sign and it is being sorely challenged. The Moon and Jupiter in Leo are opposing it, and Saturn in Scorpio is squaring that Mars. And that simply means that you've got some financial matters that are really not going to go away, and in fact, they have to be dealt with. It could be taxes, since this is the end of the year. It could be credit or debt matters. And I don't think you're going to be on the winning side of an argument right now about anything financial, Aquarius. So if you are determined to stick to your point, I hope you have another plan in mind, another choice or another direction you can go in, because fixed signs don't budge. You are not going to win in an argument right now, Aquarius, so I hope you don't get in one. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces, this is a time when you need to be real careful, because you should be aware of people who have very high-minded ideas and could not possibly be telling the whole truth about something, or a good idea hasn't been checked out yet, but when it is checked out, it's going to have to be redone. So if I were you, I'd keep real quiet right now, Pisces, because you don't know what the fallout will be on that at all. One thing you can be proud of is that Saturn in Scorpio is trining your sun, and it's at the 29th degree. And that simply means that in the last few years, while Saturn has been trining your sun, you have been able to solve some of your financial or credit or debt or tax problems. And you may be at the end of that now, and you could be in a lot better financial shape. Congratulations. All right, thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, you can see the show anytime you want by subscribing to it on our website, starborninstitute.org. Bye.